You're probably wondering, what makes her so special? What makes her services so different than any other real estate agent that's selling houses out there? You know, they're a dime a dozen. Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly why I think I'm the best real estate agent for you to be working with when buying a house in Sacramento, California. In order to get the most out of this video, I highly recommend that you download the Buyer's Handbook, which is in the description below. Hi, I'm Amy Tremaine. I am a Sacramento native and a local real estate expert. And why is it important for you to know what's different about me? Well, real estate agents are a dime a dozen. Honestly, there's tens of thousands of real estate agents, and a lot of them are either part-time or they don't sell that many houses. So finding a real estate agent that has the experience and the education is actually like finding a needle in a haystack. My real estate education is through the National Association of Realtors. And through that, I have gained my Certified Residential Specialist certification. This is only given to about 3% of agents across the entire nation. You have to have education and transaction experience of a certain amount in order to qualify for this designation, and I feel really honored to be able to hold that designation. I'm also a certified negotiations expert. I'm a certified luxury home marketing specialist, and I have a couple other designations in there. For all of my clients, what does this really mean for you? It just means that not only do I have the experience, but I have the education to back it up. So any strategies that we discuss, it's not something that I just thought of off the top of my head. It's a tried and true solution to your problems. And that's what I really bring to the table, is solutions to your problem. Why would someone want to bring on a buyer's agent? Can't you just buy a house on your own? Well, you can, but it's a lot more work. Think about it. Real estate agents do this every day. I've been doing this every day for the past 11 years. Do you think that I have more insights than you might have to the way the market works, how buyers and sellers really think? How does the contract work? There's a lot that goes into it. How do you know how to price it and all that kind of stuff? So I'm going to go over 5 reasons why you would choose to work with a real estate agent, specifically why you would choose to work with someone like me. Number 1, access to homes that you can't find online. Most real estate agents are talking with a lot of homeowners. They're talking with a lot of people that know other people that want to buy and sell homes every day. They're going to have access to properties before they actually hit the market. We can provide that access to our clients as well. If I'm working with a buyer and we're not finding anything online or currently on the market, then that's my cue to go searching off market for my clients and bring them something that other buyers might not have access to. Number 2 is all about strategy. I need to know what you know about what you want. Sometimes we don't know what we want. Sometimes we need to see it in order to really understand what we want. But me knowing where you want to live, how close you want to be to your work, what specific kind of properties you're looking for, what condition do you want it in, what kind of financing are you going to be using, all of these things factor in, and I take all these pieces to put together a complete puzzle, which ends in you getting the keys to your brand new home. It's all about your goals. We put you first. And that's the difference between me and other agents, is that it's not really about me or my opinion of the properties or where I think you should go. It's really about you. What do you want? How do you want your life to look like after you buy your property? What do you want your life to look like every day while you're living in your property? These are really important factors when it comes to your next purchase. So if your agent isn't asking these kinds of questions, then they're probably doing you a huge disservice. Okay, having a trusted financing partner is huge. What does that mean? It's your lender. Your lender is going to make or break the deal. At some point in time, we get done with inspections, and my job kind of turns into a liaison, making sure that the lender, title, escrow, and everybody else involved does their job to get us to the closing table. I put together a team of professionals that I know are not going to mess this up for us or for you. I work with a lot of lenders, local lenders that are fantastic. You can actually choose to work with whoever you want. So if you have a lender that you really want to work with, I'm happy to work with them. I work well with anybody. Number 4, I'm a certified negotiation expert. So you have a negotiation expert on your team. See, real estate agents are not just glorified door openers, and we don't just take pictures of a house and throw it up online. In fact, if you really lay it out, there are hundreds of tasks that a real estate agent has to do in order to complete a home sale, from the day that they meet you to the day that they hand you the keys or you get your check for selling your home. It's really important that you have someone who's strategic, someone that's not winging it. Think about it. This is your largest investment. It's either the largest investment you'll ever purchase or the largest investment you will ever sell. And you want someone who is thinking beyond the surface level. You want someone who understands the nuances of communication and the different negotiation tactics that people are going to launch into the transaction. Because you don't want a real estate agent who lays down at the first sign of trouble. You want someone who's a bulldog. You want someone who cares more about the dollar in your pocket staying in your pocket than going out the window. So a lot of people will look for real estate agents who charge the least amount of money in order to get the job done. And I really believe in this instance, you're going to get what you pay for. We're going to be talking about compensation in a little bit, so hold that thought. I know what your question is. Number 5, you're going to want someone who's going to stay with you beyond the sale. I always tell my clients when we get to the end of the transaction, you're stuck with me. I'm your real estate agent for life. After you close escrow, you're going to move into your house and you're going to have all these things happen and you're going to have questions and things are going to come up. Things are going to break. You're going to need repairmen. You're going to need to enact your home warranty. There's going to be all kinds of stuff that happens. And who do you call? Who guides you after you become a homeowner? Well, that's me too. I let all my clients know that I'm here for you forever. I sold you the home. I want you to call me if there's ever an issue with the home. All right, let's talk changes in the real estate industry. Remember, I told you that we would talk about compensation. In August of 2024, there was some big changes in the real estate industry. Buyers are now required to have an active buyer representation agreement with a real estate agent before they can even step foot on a property. This is really important for you to understand because it's paperwork and no one feels good about signing paperwork that they don't understand, right? And you might be thinking, I don't want to get into a situation where I'm on the hook for a commission or compensation or fees that I can't afford or I'm not prepared to pay for. That's okay. We go over all paperwork ahead of time. There will never be something that you sign in a transaction with me that you haven't gotten an explanation for. Let's talk a little bit about these buyer representation agreements. They only last for about 90 days, and you can designate them to be specifically for a county, a city, a specific property if you would like. I like to represent my clients for all their real estate needs. So when you sign a buyer representation agreement with me, it's going to be an exclusive agreement, meaning that you and I are going to be working exclusively together for the next 90 days. Now, I have a promise that I'm going to go over with you so that you understand what am I supposed to be doing and what are you supposed to be doing in those 90 days? It's actually in your best interest to sign a representation agreement with an agent. Otherwise, they have no responsibility to you, meaning that they don't actually have to tell you information that they know about a property, about pricing, any of that. So really important that you know how these benefit you. Do you have to pay your buyer's agent's compensation? Well, that's actually fully negotiable between you and a buyer's agent. A lot of my buyers don't have to pay my compensation. In fact, I include a compensation request in our offer to the seller, and the seller usually agrees to that. Now, there are some times in real estate transactions where a buyer might choose to pay their buyer's agent compensation in order to gain representation. That just really depends on the situation. Sometimes we're in a multiple offer situation, and in order to get the house, the buyers still want representation, and everything is negotiable. So if anyone tells you that there's a standard compensation or that it's always done this way, they're not being honest with you, because everything is negotiable. A lot of people think this is like a new era of real estate, but really nothing's changed. The seller is still taking the brunt of compensation for buyer's agents. Buyers have always been able to compensate their agents if they really wanted to, or if it was in their best interest, or if the offer called for it. So nothing has really changed except for this. Now, buyers are in a fiduciary contract with their agent, meaning that agents have more accountability. See, when you're not in a fiduciary relationship, meaning that you don't have any type of agency agreement like a representation agreement, then that agent owes you nothing. You don't really have to abide by any contract rules that say this is what they're going to provide or this is what they're going to do for you. It's kind of the wild, wild west out there. Now, buyers are protected. You have a contract that tells you what your agent is responsible for and holds them to a standard. Whereas before, you didn't have that standard in place until you actually wrote an offer. So I think this is a good thing. I think it protects consumers, and I don't think you should be scared of it. We're probably going to be in contact maybe a year or two, maybe a few months, maybe a couple weeks before you actually decide to get pre-approved and go in and buy a house. All of this information will be available to you and shared with you again and again and again. If you stick with me, by the time you get to the end of your transaction, you're going to be a real estate expert as well. And that's going to help you in the future, because real estate is a long-term game and the goal is to build wealth. This isn't just about getting the best deal on one house or getting through this transaction. It's all about long-term strategy and how you plan to use real estate to build your generational wealth engine. I want to go above and beyond for all of my clients. I've been privileged enough to be in this business for the past 11 years, and all of my business comes from referrals. What does that mean? It's all word of mouth. It's all based off of my reputation as a real estate agent. My friends, my family, my past clients, and everybody they know come to work with me because of what they've heard from the people I've worked with before. You can't build a business like that on a shoddy reputation. You really have to deliver consistent results. This buyer's agency agreement and the Platinum Promise explains to you how I deliver those consistent results. All right, well, what are these results? What are you actually getting when you work with me? Well, first it starts with tailored communication and personalized service. I want to talk to you as much as you want to talk to me. If you want to be communicated through email and text message only, if you only want to be communicated through phone calls. I actually had a client who had no cell phone, no computer, and no email. And you know what? We made it through that entire transaction. He had an amazing experience, and we still get lunch together. My communication is proactive. I'm not just going to communicate to you when you call me and ask for an update. I'm actually going to be updating you on a regular basis or checking in with you to see if you need any assistance. This can be a huge weight off your shoulders, because instead of you having to worry about following up with me, I'm here to follow up with you. The real estate transaction and the real estate buying process can be really complicated, and it can feel kind of like you don't know which way is going where and you feel lost. My goal is that my clients don't feel lost. They understand where we're at. They understand what they have available to them, and they know where we're going. I act as your fiduciary, working with integrity and professionalism. Now, a lot of people don't really know what a fiduciary is, but when you think about someone that is helping you with a large purchase, helping you with spending a great deal of money, there usually is some sort of fiduciary aspect to that agency. I have to act like your money is my money. Not, yay, I'm going on a shopping spree. more so in a protective space. I need to be protecting your bottom line. I need to be protecting your bank account so that you're not losing money on a real estate deal. That's the entire purpose of putting an agent in place as your fiduciary, is they are there to protect you, sometimes from yourself. I prepare relentlessly, and I'm always anticipating challenges. You're going out and looking at property to figure out, where's my bed gonna go? Where's my TV gonna go? Do I like this kitchen? I'm looking at the roof. I'm looking at the HVAC. I'm looking at the water heater. I'm looking at the stucco. I'm looking at the grounds. I'm really looking for problems, because if I can prevent you from even getting into contract on a property that's not going to suit your needs, then that's what I want to do. Do you see how that's different from most salespeople? Most salespeople are trying to push you into a purchase. I'm actually trying to save you from making a terrible purchase. I'm constantly looking for issues. I'm also looking for ways for us to gain leverage. Remember, I'm a certified negotiation expert. So any leverage that I can gain to help you with your bottom line, meaning save you money in the end, that's what I'm going to do. You get another pair of eyes while you're looking at the house to see if you like the square footage and you like the location. I'm looking at it to see how great of a deal can we get, and is there anything that's going to pop out at you and surprise you in the next couple years. I promise to deliver consistent excellence. You might be thinking that this is a video and it's scripted and she's being her best self. Well, I always try to be my best self, but this video is not scripted. This is me talking from the heart, and how I show up here is how I show up everywhere. All right, so now we're going to talk a little bit about what are you getting delivered to you. Now, we live in the internet age, so when I say delivered to you, it's not really stuff that you can touch with your hands, but you can see with your eyes. I'm going to be actively searching for properties for sale for you, not just on the MLS, but off market for sale by owners, properties that haven't reached the market yet. Anything that I can find that I think would be an opportunity that I should present to you, I'm going to do that. I'm also going to be looking for new construction properties as well. Now, lots of people think you don't need an agent when you are purchasing a new build property, but I just successfully negotiated $65,000 off of the purchase price of a new build for my clients. So you can see there's a lot of value there. I always attempt to negotiate a 1-year home warranty in all of my contracts, along with inspections. So I will help you throughout the entire inspection process, find the companies, vet the companies, schedule the inspections. I'll attend the inspections, review the reports, same with the appraisal, same with anything to do with the lender. You have me at your disposal. So I can be there for you to explain anything that you need help with throughout the transaction. This last page is all about what you agree to do. Basically, don't go to any new builds or for sale by owners or look at property without me. Make sure that you get pre-approved with a reputable lender. I can give you one if you would like, or you have the cash on hand in order to purchase property before we go out and look at property. I also ask that you acknowledge that I'm not a CPA. I'm not an attorney. I can't give you any advice on certain things. I can only give you real estate advice. So when you ask me questions that I'm not able to answer, I will direct you to the professionals that will give you the best advice. I'm happy to do that. I just can't give you any legal advice or advise you on any taxes or anything like that. Finally, you're under no obligation to buy a house at all. In fact, we could look at a ton of properties and you could change your mind, and that's going to be perfectly okay. You don't have to worry about my feelings. You don't have to worry about my bank account. I've been in this business long enough. You're not the only person that's ever canceled an agreement or changed their mind. Again, I'm client first. So you're the main priority. I want you to feel really comfortable about the process. I want you to feel excited. And if you don't feel excited and you don't feel comfortable, there's really no reason for us to be moving forward. Our relationship is actually more important to me than any closing or any paycheck ever will be. Now we're going to talk about the 7 steps to buying a home. Number 1, we need to conduct a needs analysis. I need to know everything that you're dreaming of. What do you look for in a home? What do you look for in a lifestyle? How close do you want to be to your work? How far away do you want to be from your work? What are you looking for in a property? But not just that, what are you looking for in a daily routine? What do you want to experience on a regular basis? I go really deep with my needs analysis. I can do this in person or we can do it over Zoom. I really prefer to do it in a face-to-face kind of manner because I actually pay attention to cues beyond your words. I'm certified in neurolinguistic programming, so I can actually get into deeper conversation with you than most people because I'm listening for things that most people aren't even paying attention to. Next, we figure out, how are you purchasing the property? Are you going to be using cash or do you need a mortgage? If you need a mortgage, I have plenty of professionals that I can refer you to in the banking industry, from banks to mortgage brokers, and you can use whoever you feel comfortable with. Once we know what you're looking for and we have the funds in place, then we go shopping. You're going to see a lot of homes online before we ever step foot in them. I also highly recommend that you drive through neighborhoods so that you really get a feel what's going on in this area. What's it feel like at night? What's it feel like in the afternoon? You're going to have to live there all the time. So you really want to be familiar with the neighborhood before you make a purchase. So sometimes driving through the neighborhood before we even go look at homes can be really beneficial. You can save yourself a lot of time. If you don't like the neighborhood, you're probably not going to like the homes in it very much either. Once we find the home that you really like, or a couple homes that you really like, then we're going to start placing offers and negotiating in order to get that property under contract. Some of the terms that we negotiate are going to be the purchase price, the closing date, type of financing and down payment, or if it's a cash offer, and contingencies. You're going to have a few contingencies baked into the offer. If you're using cash, you will most likely not have a loan or appraisal contingency, but you will have an inspection contingency. If you're using a loan, you're going to have an inspection contingency, a loan contingency, and an appraisal contingency. First is the inspection contingency. That's the first step in buying a property, is getting the inspections done. These inspections are just for your information. We don't give them to the lender. We don't provide them to the appraiser. This gives you a really good view of what's going on with this property. There you might find a few little maintenance issues. You also might find some really big problems. We use these inspections to either negotiate repairs, negotiate some credits, a price reduction, or to get you out of the contract altogether. It really just depends on the condition of the property and what you feel comfortable doing. If you decide to stay in contract, or we've negotiated repairs and we're going to move forward, then you'll also have your appraisal completed as well as your loan approval completed. The appraisal is done by a third party through the lender, but is paid for by you. So your lender will collect those funds from you. It's usually between $500 to $800. Depends on the size of the house. It depends on the location as well. We've gotten through inspections. We've gotten the appraisal back. We have final loan approval. And now it's time for us to close escrow and celebrate. This is the exciting day where we get to hand you the keys and you get to move in. Again, this is not where anything ends with us. Of course, I'll be there for you in the long run. Should anything come up with the property, you can always reach out to me to help you out. Now that we know the buying process, let's talk about who pays for what. This is actually a really interesting topic for me because technically everything is negotiable. There are no set fees that have to be paid by a seller or a buyer. However, in regions across the entire country, there's been some standard procedures that have been put in place to even things out. So seller will pay agents commissions because the buyer is most likely going to be paying the lender's fees and commissions. Seller is going to be paying 1% in closing costs. The buyer is going to be paying their own closing costs. What it all evens out to is sellers are usually paying about 6 or 7% in order to sell the home. And buyers are usually paying about 6 to 7% in order to purchase a home if they're using a loan. So while there are no set standards, Everything is negotiable. We've kind of worked out a way for all of the fees to even out, so everybody's kind of paying the same. But again, you can negotiate any of these. So on this page, you're going to see some seller customary fees and then a buyer customary fees. But again, these are all negotiable, so don't let anybody tell you any different. Okay, let's talk about the loan process. We're going to start with the pre-approval. Your lender is going to ask for your bank statements, your W-2s, your pay stubs, and any of your taxes for the past couple years, as well as any investment accounts that you might have. They're going to run your credit and they're going to put together an application. This loan application is going to be submitted once we get into contract on a property. Your pre-approval is essentially your lender saying, I think your loan application is going to get approved for a loan. And in the pre-approval, you're going to know how much are you pre-approved for? What percentage do you need to put down? What closing costs do you need to come up with on top of your down payment? And what is your interest rate and payment amount going to be? That's going to be really paramount. Most people are purchasing a property based off of the payment they're going to pay every month. So you need to know what that looks like before we go out hunting for properties. Now, a lot of people try to do this backwards. They go find a home and then they go to their lender and they say, I really like this home and I want to get a loan for it. But a lot of times properties are moving much quicker off the market than allows for your lender to get your pre-approval scheduled or for you to get your pre-approval put together and for you to get on your schedule all the time to collect all those documents. Now, if you're really organized, then you can get a pre-approval done pretty quickly. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that house is going to still be available. So I always recommend that you get pre-approved first. In fact, the first time that I went to buy a property, I got pre-approved first. I didn't get approved for the amount that I wanted. My lender told me exactly what I needed to do to improve my credit and what income I needed to work up to in order to get what I wanted. And I did that. Within 1 year, I got my new pre-approval and it was $100,000 more with a way better interest rate because I fixed my credit and I started making more money. It's important to get pre-approved as soon as possible. In fact, if you're even thinking about buying a house, you should talk with a lender. Go ahead and get yourself pre-approved so that you know what you can qualify for. You might be surprised and you might be able to buy sooner than you thought. Once we've gotten you into contract, we've submitted the loan application to the underwriter. They're going to issue you a loan approval. Once you have your loan approved, that's when they will draw docs. That's what they call it, drawing docs. But they're really just pulling all the documents together for the loan in order for you to sign. You'll sign with the title company. I will be there. I like to be at all my signings. And then the lender will fund the loan. They'll basically send the money to the escrow company. The escrow company then takes that money, records the deed, gives the money to the seller, and that means that you are now a homeowner. Real estate transactions are actually as nuanced and individualized as you and I as people. There is no one-size-fits-all way for us to lock down a property. Every property is different, every homeowner is different, and every transaction is going to have different terms, pricing, strategy, all of it. My goal is to negotiate the best price and terms for you. And if you want a property that everybody else wants, then sometimes we enter into a bidding war or a competition. It's completely up to you if you want to stay in the competition and win out. I will tell you exactly what you need to do in order to do that. And sometimes I don't have all the information. Sometimes I'm not getting everything from the listing agent. And there's a chance that in an offer situation that is competitive, we can lose. My goal is to get you into a property successfully where you feel really comfortable with the payment, you feel really comfortable with the purchase price, and you feel really comfortable with the process. I don't want to enter a bidding war if you don't want to. And I'm competitive and I have the negotiation skills and tactics to win that war if we need to. The competitiveness of some real estate markets requires you to put in offers on multiple properties. Don't worry, we'll make sure that there's contingencies in place that protect you so that you don't get stuck in multiple contracts. Not winning an offer on a house in a competitive situation can be really disappointing, but I'm here to let you know that every time that happens, my clients usually find that that house wasn't meant for them. Another property comes on the market, or we get into contract and eventually successfully close on the property that was truly meant for them. Getting an offer accepted on a property that you want to purchase is probably one of the most exciting feelings that you will ever feel. You're also going to feel like you're sitting around waiting a lot because we just went from rushing out and looking at properties all the time to now being in escrow. Escrow takes time. It's probably going to be about 21 to 30 days before we close on that. But don't worry, that's actually the busiest time. All of us are working behind the scenes, escrow, myself, and the lender, to make sure that we take all these moving parts and all this complicated real estate stuff, we get it in line, we get it all done, and we can hand you the keys and you can enjoy your new home. Just a few extra things that you should know before you close on a property. Home warranties are wonderful. You can get a home warranty for about $500 and it will cover all of your major appliances for up to 1 year. The best time for you to purchase a home warranty is during the transaction. Either we need to negotiate it with the seller, but if we don't get the seller to pay for the home warranty during the transaction, I highly recommend that you purchase one on your own. You can actually purchase a home warranty every single year to cover all of your appliances. Now, appliances nowadays are very, very expensive, so I highly recommend that people keep a home warranty on their home in perpetuity if they can afford one. Don't hire movers for the day of closing. Big, big mistake. Make sure that you give yourself some time. Give yourself some time to get into the property and clean it. Give yourself some time for the movers to show up. But one thing is that real estate transactions are actually pretty fluid and your closing date might change. You don't want to hire movers and then your closing date gets pushed back a couple days and you have to reschedule or pay fees. So work with me, your real estate agent, to make sure that you really understand the timeline and give yourself about a week after closing in order to move in. I am pretty tight on my timeline and then I try to keep my transactions on pace, but things happen. There's a lot of cooks in the kitchen at the end of a transaction. And so we might have to extend escrow a couple days or we might close early. Either way, I always recommend you plan the movers after we've actually closed escrow, not before. I hope this video was valuable for you. I really wanted to give people a sense of what it's like to work with me, but also educate you on what you should be receiving from anybody that you hire for your next purchase. All my contact information is below in the description. I even have a link in there if you would like to set up a Zoom meeting with me. I'm happy to meet with you to answer all of your questions and talk more about your real estate goals. Also, please like, share, and subscribe because that's the best way for me to grow my channel and meet more people just like you.